She was choosing which twin would get medicine, and the billionaire watching fell in love. But his secret would destroy everything. "Just give me one prescription," she said. "The stronger twin can fight it off." Those words came out of Maria's mouth in a Charleston pharmacy on a Tuesday afternoon. She was choosing which 8-month-old son would get medicine, and which one would have to survive without it. The stranger behind her heard everything. And what he did next would save her life and ruin it all at once. Because he wasn't just some guy. He was the CEO of the company that made that medicine so expensive she couldn't afford to save both her children. And he was falling in love with her. Before we continue this wonderful story, click subscribe, like, and comment where you're watching from. I would be glad to know the story goes as far as Canada, all of the United States of America, Australia, Africa, and even the United Kingdom. So let me know where you're listening from. Now, let's get to where the story began. The fluorescent lights in the CVS on King Street were doing that annoying flicker thing again. Maria Torres had been staring at them for the past 11 minutes while the pharmacy tech argued with someone's insurance company on the phone. 11 minutes. She'd counted every single one. Her arms were screaming. 8-month-old twins aren't light. And when you're carrying both of them in a wrap that's seen better days, your shoulders start to feel like they're going to pop right out of their sockets. But she couldn't put them down. Couldn't risk it. Not with Jaden burning up against her chest like a little furnace. 104.2 degrees this morning. She checked 3 times, hoping the thermometer was broken. It wasn't. Next. The pharmacy tech's voice cut through her thoughts. Maria stepped forward, shifting the twins' weight. Jaden whimpered. His little face was flush red, his eyes glassy and half closed. Jordan, thank God, was just fussy, not sick. Not yet, but Maria knew how these things worked. Twins shared everything. If Jaden had it, Jordan would have it by tomorrow. Torres. Maria Torres. Her voice came out smaller than she meant it to. The tech typed without looking up. The clicking of her long acrylic nails on the keyboard seemed to echo through the whole store. Click, click, click. Okay, so we have 2 prescriptions here. Amoxicillin for... She squinted at the screen. Jaden and Jordan Torres. That would be $186.50. The number hit Maria like a fist to the stomach. She called ahead. They'd told her $90. She'd been counting on $90. She had $87 in her wallet. Every single dollar she had until Friday, and Friday was 4 days away. I called this morning. They said $90. The tech sighed like Maria had personally ruined her day. That was the quote for 1 prescription. You have 2 babies. 2 prescriptions. $186.50. Behind her, Maria heard someone shift their weight. There were people waiting. She could feel their impatience pressing against her back like heat. Her hands were shaking as she opened her wallet. The bills inside looked pathetic. 3 20s. 2 10s, 7 1s, the coins in the bottom. She didn't even want to count those in front of everyone. Jaden let out a weak cry. The sound of it made her chest hurt worse than her arms. I have $87, Maria said quietly. Can I just get one? Just 1 prescription. The tech's expression didn't change. Which one? Which one? Like she was asking if Maria wanted paper or plastic. Maria looked down at her sons. Jaden's eyes were closed now, his little body limp with fever. Jordan was squirming, fussing, but alert. Strong. He'd always been the stronger twin. Even in the NICU, when they were born 6 weeks early, Jordan had been the fighter. Jaden had been the one who needed more time, more help, more everything. The one for Jaden, she whispered. Just Jaden. She heard it then. A sharp intake of breath from somewhere behind her, but she couldn't turn around. Couldn't look at whoever was watching her choose between her children. The tech nodded, typed something. That'll be $93.25. Maria's heart stopped. But you said, I thought... Tax, plus the dispensing fee for splitting the order. $93.25. $6. She was $6 short of saving her son's life. Maria's vision blurred. She would not cry. Not here. Not in front of all these people. She cried enough for one lifetime. She cried when Marcus hit her the first time. Cried when he hit her the last time. Cried when she packed everything she could carry and ran in the middle of the night with 2 babies and nowhere to go. Cried when the women's shelter told her they were full. Cried during every single night shift cleaning office buildings while her neighbor watched the twins, wondering if they were okay, if they were scared without her. No more crying. "I can come back," she heard herself say. "I'll come back with the rest." "Ma'am, we can't hold medications without payment." "I understand. I'll come back. I just need to—" "Here." The voice came from behind her. Deep, calm. A man's voice. Maria turned. He was tall. That was the first thing she noticed. Tall, maybe mid-30s, dark hair that looked like he'd run his hands through a few times. He was wearing jeans and a simple gray Henley shirt, holding a basket with just a few things in it. Nothing fancy. He looked normal. Tired, maybe, but kind eyes. Really kind eyes. And he was holding out a credit card. "I've got it," he said simply. Maria stepped back instinctively, pulling the twins closer. No, I can't. "You're not taking anything from me." His voice was gentle. "I'm just helping. Please, let me help. I don't even know you. My name's David." He smiled and it reached his eyes. "Now you know me. Please, your son needs medicine." The tech was already reaching for the card. Maria should stop this, should say something. But Jaden made that sound again, that weak, painful little cry, and every single thought in her head just stopped. "Both prescriptions," David said to the tech, not taking his eyes off Maria. "Sir, that's not necessary," Maria started. "It is necessary. Your other son's going to get sick too. You know it. I know it. Let's handle it now. Please." The transaction took 30 seconds. The longest 30 seconds of Maria's life. When it was done, David handed her the receipt and both white paper bags. His fingers brushed hers for just a second, and she felt how warm his hands were. How steady. "Thank you," she whispered. Her throat was so tight, she could barely get the words out. "I don't know how to thank you. I'll pay you back. I swear I'll—" "You don't owe me anything." He said it firmly, but kindly. "Just get those babies healthy, okay?" Then he turned back to the line, picked up his basket, and acted like he'd just done the most normal thing in the world. Like he hadn't just saved her entire life in a CVS pharmacy line on a Tuesday afternoon. Maria stood there frozen, the medicine bags clutched in her hands like treasure, like life itself. "Ma'am." The tech's voice again. "You're all set. Next customer, please." Maria moved on autopilot. She walked past David. He was talking to the tech now about his own prescription and headed toward the automatic doors. But before she left, she turned back. He was watching her. Just for a second, their eyes met across the store, and something passed between them. Something Maria couldn't name, couldn't understand. Then the door slid open and the Charleston heat hit her like a wave, and she walked out into the parking lot with her sons and the medicine that would save them and the memory of kind eyes she'd probably never see again. She was wrong about that last part. The apartment building on Morrison Drive had seen better days. Way better days. The AC worked only when it felt like it. The hallways smelled like old cooking and mildew, and Maria's third-floor walk-up had a door that stuck so bad she had to literally throw her shoulder into it to get it open. But it was hers. Sort of, as long as she could make rent every month, which was getting harder and harder. If you made it this far into the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us keep bringing you more heartwarming stories like this one. She got the boys inside and immediately started the medicine routine. Jaden first, measuring out the pink liquid carefully, coaxing it into his mouth while he whimpered and tried to turn his head away. Then Jordan, who took it better because he took everything better. By 7 p.m., both boys were asleep. The medicine was already working. Jaden's fever had dropped to 101. Still not good, but better. So much better. Maria stood over their crib, watching them breathe. The late evening light coming through her thin curtains turned everything golden and soft. Jordan had his fist curled up by his face. Jaden's mouth was open slightly, making little sleeping sounds. Her phone buzzed. She pulled it out, already knowing what it would say. Maria Torres, rent due in 5 days. Current balance, $1,247. Outstanding balance, $950. She closed her eyes. $950. She had $87, and she needed to eat, needed gas for her car, needed to somehow buy more diapers before Friday. The math didn't work. It never worked anymore. Her phone buzzed again. Different notification this time. Marcus Williams wants to send you a message. Her blood turned to ice. She'd blocked him. She blocked him on everything. How did he? She didn't open it. Didn't even let herself look at the preview. Just deleted the notification with shaking hands and immediately opened her settings to block whatever new account he'd made. But the damage was done. He'd found her again. He always found her. Maria walked to a window and looked out at the street below. Cars passed. People walked by. Normal people living normal lives where they weren't choosing which baby got medicine. Where they didn't have to run from the person who was supposed to love them. And somewhere in this city was a man named David who'd paid for her son's medicine without asking for anything in return. She didn't believe in fairy tales anymore. Didn't believe in knights in shining armor or good things happening to people like her. But she believed in him. At least for tonight. At least in this moment. Tomorrow she'd go back to surviving. Back to her 2 jobs and her impossible bills. And watching her back every time she left the apartment. But tonight, her sons were safe. Their fever would break. They'd wake up tomorrow feeling better. And that was enough. It had to be enough. David Sinclair sat in his car outside the pharmacy for 20 minutes after it happened, his hand still gripping the steering wheel. He'd seen a lot during his 3 weeks undercover. Seen people break down at the counter. Seen elderly folks choosing between heart medicine and groceries. Seen parents rationing insulin and hoping their kids would be okay. But something about her had hit different. The way she'd looked at those babies. The way her voice had cracked when she said, "Just Jaden." The way she tried so hard not to cry in front of strangers. David pulled out his phone and dialed. "Marcus? It's David. Yeah, I know it's late. Listen, I need you to pull prescription records from the King Street, Charleston location. Today's transactions. I need a name. Maria Torres. T-O-R-R-E-S. I need everything we have on her prescriptions, payment history, everything." He listened to his head of security, one of the only people who knew about this undercover operation. Protest on the other end. "I know it's a privacy violation. I don't care. I'm not using it against her, Marcus. I'm trying to help. Just get me the information. Please." He hung up and leaned his head back against the seat. His father had built Sinclair Pharmaceuticals into a billion-dollar empire. When he died 6 months ago, he left it all to David with one request. "Make sure we're helping people. Son." That's what this was always supposed to be about. But the board had other ideas. Profit margins, shareholder value, market position. And families like Maria's paid the price. David started his car. Tomorrow he'd go back to his real life. The penthouse downtown, the endless meetings, the corporate pressure to increase prices instead of lowering them. But tonight, he couldn't stop thinking about a young mother in a pharmacy line, making an impossible choice. And he couldn't stop thinking about her eyes when she looked at him, brown and deep and filled with something that looked like hope. He was going to see her again. He didn't know how yet, didn't know when, but he was going to see her again. Maria's alarm went off at 4:47 a.m. She didn't hit snooze. Couldn't afford to. The twins would be up in an hour anyway. And she needed these 13 minutes to herself. 13 minutes to brush her teeth, throw on her waitress uniform, and try to make herself look like someone who wasn't running on 3 hours of sleep. The mirror in her bathroom was cracked, had been since she moved in, and the lighting made her look like a ghost. Dark circles under her eyes. Hair that desperately needed a trim she couldn't pay for. 26 years old, and she looked 40. But Jaden's fever had broken completely. 2 days on the antibiotics, and both twins were smiling again, babbling, being themselves. That made everything worth it. She heard Mrs. Chen's door open across the hall. Right on time. Mrs. Chung was 73, lived on Social Security, and watched the twins every morning from 5 to 8 a.m. while Maria worked the breakfast shift at Marion's Diner. Maria paid her $40 a week, money neither of them could spare, but both of them needed. "Morning, honey." Mrs. Chen's voice was warm as always. She was already in her bathrobe, arms outstretched for the boys. These angels ready for some cartoons and cereal? You're a lifesaver. Maria kissed both twins on the head before handing them over. "I'll be back by 8:15. There's extra bottles in the bag and—" "Maria, baby, I've been watching baby since before you were born. We'll be fine. Go make that money." The drive to Marion's took 12 minutes if she caught the lights right. She didn't catch the lights right. By the time she burst through the back entrance at 5:28, Lou the manager was already giving her the look. "Traffic," she gasped. "I'm sorry, Lou won't happen again." He grunted. Lou was 60, mean as a snake, and the only reason Maria still had this job was because she never called out and never complained. "Table 6 needs coffee." "Move." She moved. The morning rush at Marion's was always chaos. Tourists wanting shrimp and grits. Construction workers needing coffee and lots of it. Business people grabbing breakfast before their meetings. By 7 a.m., Maria's feet were already screaming, and she'd been yelled at twice. Once for forgetting extra butter, once for bringing the wrong kind of jam. She was refilling the coffee station when she heard the bell above the door chime. And there he was, David. He looked different in the morning light, streaming through Marion's big windows. Still casual, jeans and a navy blue t-shirt. But there was something about the way he carried himself. Confident, like he belonged anywhere he went. Their eyes met across the diner. He smiled. Maria's heart did the stupid flutter thing that she immediately tried to squash. She was not that girl anymore. The girl who believed in chance meetings and fate and men who smile like that. But her feet carried her over to him anyway. "Hi," she said, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "Table for one?" "Hi." His smile got wider. "Yeah, but Maria, right? From the pharmacy?" She nodded, suddenly very aware of her stained uniform and the fact that she probably smelled like syrup and bacon grease. "I never properly thanked you," she said quietly. "What you did, the medicine, my boys are better now. Both of them. Because of you. I'm really glad to hear that." And he looked like he meant it. Really meant it. "I've been thinking about you. About them. Hoping they were okay." Something warm bloomed in Maria's chest. When was the last time someone had thought about her? Really thought about her? When she wasn't standing right in front of them? "Well, they are, thanks to you." She grabbed a menu from the hostess stand. "So, what can I get you?" He ordered coffee, black, and the breakfast special. While she put his order in, she caught herself glancing over at him. He was looking at his phone, but not in that obsessive way most people did. More like he was checking something quickly and then putting it away. When she brought his coffee, he looked up at her with those kind eyes again. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "And you can totally tell me it's none of my business." Maria tensed. Here it comes. The questions, the judgment, the assumptions. "Okay," she said carefully. "Are you doing all right? Like, really all right? Because what I saw at the pharmacy." He stopped, shook his head. I just want to make sure you're okay. That's all. The concern in his voice was real. She could hear it. I'm managing, she said. It was the truth. Sort of. It's hard, but I'm managing. The twins' father, is he around? Helping at all? Maria's whole body went rigid. No, and he never will be. David must have heard something in her voice because he immediately backed off. I'm sorry. That was too personal. Forget I asked. It's fine. She forced a smile. Let me get your order. But as she walked away, her hands were shaking. Just a mention of Marcus made her skin crawl. She glanced around the diner. Old habit now. Checking faces, looking for anyone who might be watching her, anyone who might report back to him. She'd been so careful. New apartment, new phone number. She'd even change her shift schedule every few weeks just in case. But that message notification 2 days ago meant he was looking, meant he hadn't given up, meant she wasn't safe. David watched Maria move through the diner like she was dancing through a battlefield. Fast, efficient, always aware of her surroundings. She'd check the door every few minutes. Scan the room, like she was waiting for something bad to happen. He'd gotten the background check yesterday. Marcus had compiled everything. Maria Elena Torres, age 26, born in Charleston. Mother deceased, father unknown. No criminal record. 2 speeding tickets. Credit score in the toilet due to medical bills from the twins' premature birth. Previous address, apartment on the east side, shared with Marcus Williams. Marcus Williams, age 29. 3 assault charges, all dismissed because the victims refused to testify. 2 DUIs. Restraining order filed against him by Maria Torres 8 months ago, expired 3 months ago because she hadn't renewed it, probably because she couldn't afford the court fees. The system had failed her at every turn. David took a sip of his coffee and watched her laugh at something an elderly customer said. Her whole face changed when she smiled. The exhaustion disappeared for just a second, and she looked young again. Happy. He wanted to see her smile like that all the time. His phone buzzed. Text from Richard Chun, his CFO. Board meeting at 10. Don't be late. They're pushing the pricing increase again. David typed back, I'll be there. Another text. You need to stop fighting them on this, David. It's not sustainable. He didn't respond to that one. The breakfast special arrived. Maria brought herself instead of having another server do it, and she set it down carefully. Anything else I can get you? She asked. Actually, yeah. He made the decision right then. I'm new to Charleston. Well, sort of new, and I don't really know anyone here. Would you, and this might be totally weird, but would you want to grab coffee sometime? Just to talk. He watched her face cycle through about 5 different emotions. Surprise, suspicion, interest, fear, and then hope. I don't really have time for, she started. I'll work around your schedule. Whatever works for you. He ran a hand through his hair. Look, I'm just a guy who watched someone make an impossible choice in a pharmacy line, and I can't stop thinking about it. About you, and I'd like to know you better. That's all. No pressure. No strings. Why? The question came out almost like an accusation. Why do you care? It was a fair question. A smart question. Because someone should, he said simply. Because you shouldn't have to do this alone. Maria's eyes filled with tears. She blinked them back quickly, glancing around to make sure no one was watching. I get off at 2, she whispered. But I have to pick up my boys by 3. Perfect. There's a park near here. White Point Garden. Meet me there at 2:15. She hesitated for so long, he thought she was going to say no. Then, okay, yeah, okay. His heart actually skipped. Grown man, billionaire CEO. And his heart skipped like a teenager. Great. I'll see you then. She walked away, and he noticed she was smiling. Small smile. Private smile. But a smile. Maria wasn't supposed to leave work thinking about David. She had too much to worry about. Rent due in 3 days. Electric bill overdue. Her car making that noise again that probably meant expensive repairs she couldn't afford. But she was thinking about him anyway. She picked up the twins from Mrs. Chun, both boys reaching for her immediately, which made her heart swell, and drove home, fed them lunch, put them down for their nap. And the whole time, she kept checking the clock. 1:47 p.m., 1:53 p.m., 2:02 p.m. She changed out of her waitress uniform into the nicest thing she owned, a simple yellow sundress she bought at Goodwill 2 years ago, put on a little mascara, brushed her hair until it shone, then felt stupid for trying so hard, then tried hard anyway. Mrs. Chen agreed to watch the boys for an extra hour. You look pretty, honey, real pretty. Where you going? Just meeting a friend. Maria couldn't meet her eyes. Mrs. Chen's knowing smile said she wasn't fooled. A friend. You go have fun with your friend. Take your time. White Point Garden was beautiful in the afternoon. Huge old oak trees dripping with Spanish moss. Families on picnic blankets. Couples walking hand in hand along the water. Maria spotted David immediately. He was sitting on a bench facing the harbor, and when he saw her, he stood up like she was someone important, someone worth standing for. You came, he said, and he sounded genuinely happy. You bought my son's medicine, she replied. Least I can do is show up. They walked, not toward anything specific, just around the park paths, dodging joggers and kids on bikes. Tell me about the twins, David said. Besides the fact that they're lucky to have you. So she did. Told him about the pregnancy, unexpected but wanted, about the premature birth and the terrifying NICU weeks, about Jaden's reflux and Jordan's laugh that sounded like hiccups, about how they were starting to crawl now, get into everything, making every day exhausting and beautiful and impossible. She didn't tell him about Marcus, about the bruises, about running. Not yet. What about you? She asked. What do you do? Besides randomly helping strangers in pharmacies. He laughed. I work in business, corporate stuff. Pretty boring, honestly. Can't be that boring if it pays enough to buy medicine for random people. Something flickered across his face. Guilt? I've been lucky. That's all. They found another bench near the water and sat, close enough that their knees almost touched. Not quite touching, but almost. Can I tell you something? Maria said, surprising herself. When you paid for that medicine, I thought you were going to want something. I thought. She stopped, feeling her face heat up. Men don't usually just help, not without expecting something back. David turned to look at her fully. I don't want anything from you, Maria, except maybe this. Getting to know you. That's all. Why, though? I'm nobody. I'm a waitress with 2 babies and more problems than you can imagine. Why do you care? He was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. You know what I saw in that pharmacy? I saw someone who would sacrifice everything for the people she loves. Someone strong enough to make impossible choices and still keep going. That's not nobody, Maria. That's someone extraordinary. A tear rolled down her cheek before she could stop it. When was the last time someone had called her extraordinary? When was the last time someone had seen her as anything but a problem to deal with? David reached over carefully, giving her time to pull away if she wanted, and wiped the tear with his thumb. Hey, he said gently. You okay? Yeah. She laughed, watery and raw. Yeah, I'm not used to this. To people being nice. Then people have been wrong. They sat there as the afternoon sun painted everything gold, talked about everything and nothing. He told her about losing his father. She heard the grief in his voice even though he tried to hide it. She told him about her mom dying when she was 19, how alone she'd felt. They didn't talk about the hard stuff, not about money or danger or secrets. But Maria felt something shift, something open up inside her chest that had been closed for so long. By the time she had to leave to get the twins, she'd laughed more than she had in months. Real laughs. The kind that came from your belly and made your face hurt. Can I see you again? David asked as they walked back to the parking lot. I'd like that. She meant it. But David, I need you to know. My life is complicated. Really complicated. And I don't have room for anything that's going to make it harder. I get it. He smiled. How about this? I just want to be your friend. Someone you can count on. No pressure. No expectations. Just someone in your corner. Can I be that? Friend. She could do friend. Yeah, she said. Yeah, you can be that. He walked her to her car, a beat-up Honda Civic with a dent in the passenger door. Didn't comment on it. Didn't look at it like it was beneath him. Just said, text me when you get home safe, so I know you made it okay. She gave him her number, drove away with butterflies in her stomach and hope dangerous, terrifying hope blooming in her chest. What she didn't see was David standing in the parking lot, watching her car disappear, pulling out his phone and texting Marcus. I need 24/7 security on Maria Torres and her sons. Unmarked. She can't know about it. And find out everything you can about Marcus Williams. Everything. And what neither of them saw was a black sedan parked across the street, windows tinted dark, where Marcus Williams sat with his hands clenched around the steering wheel, watching the woman who'd taken his sons away laughing with another man. The eviction notice was taped to Maria's door when she got home from her night shift at 2:17 a.m. She stood in the hallway, twins asleep in their carrier, staring at the orange paper like it might disappear if she looked at it hard enough. Notice to vacate premises. 72 hours. 72 hours. 3 days to find a new place to live with 2 babies and negative money in her bank account. Her hands were shaking so bad she could barely get her key in the lock. Inside, she set the twins in their crib. They didn't even wake up, thank God, and sank onto her couch. The springs were broken on the left side, so she always sat on the right. Habit now. Her phone said 2:23 a.m. Too late to call anyone. Too early to fix anything. She'd been $17 short on rent. $17. Lou had cut her hours last week because business was slow, and she'd had to choose between rent and the electric bill, and she'd chosen electric because she couldn't let the twins sleep in the heat. And now she had 72 hours. Maria put her face in her hands and let herself cry. Quiet crying, so she wouldn't wake the boys. The kind of crying that came from somewhere deep in your chest where all the fear lived. Her phone buzzed. David, can't sleep. Hope that's not weird. Just wanted to say I had a really good time today. Yesterday? Time is confusing at 2 a.m. Despite everything, she smiled. They'd been texting for 3 days now. Nothing heavy. Just conversation. He'd send her funny pictures of things he saw around Charleston. She'd send him photos of the twins doing cute stuff. Easy. Light. Safe. She shouldn't text back. It was 2 a.m. and she was having a breakdown, and he didn't sign up for her disasters. But her fingers typed anyway. I can't sleep either. 3 dots immediately. You okay? No, she wasn't okay. She was so far from okay, she couldn't even see okay from where she was standing. Just tired. Long shift. Working 2 jobs must be exhausting. She'd told him about the cleaning job. Told him about Marion's. Hadn't told him how close to the edge she was living. Hadn't wanted him to see her like that, desperate and drowning. But looking at the eviction notice on her coffee table, she realized he was about to find out anyway. Can I tell you something? She typed. Anything. I got evicted today. Have 72 hours to get out. The 3 dots appeared and disappeared 3 times. Then her phone actually rang. David, it's 2 in the morning. I know. I'm sorry. He sounded breathless. Worried. Are you serious? They're kicking you out? I was $17 short on rent. Her voice cracked. $17, and they're putting me and my babies on the street. That's Jesus, Maria. That's not right. That's not. He stopped. She could hear him breathing hard, like he was pacing. Okay, we're gonna fix this. There's no fixing this. I don't have first and last month's rent for a new place. I barely have gas money. I'm gonna have to go to a shelter, and most of them don't take kids, and... Stop. His voice was firm but gentle. Stop. Listen to me. You're not going to a shelter. I'm gonna help you. David, no. I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. Please, let me help. Maria closed her eyes. Pride said no. Survival said yes. The twins, sleeping peacefully in their crib, said, figure it out. I can't take your money, she whispered. Then don't think of it as taking. Think of it as borrowing. You can pay me back whenever. Or don't. I don't care about the money. Maria, I care about you and those babies not being homeless. Why are you doing this? The question came out broken. You don't even know me. I know enough. She could hear the smile in his voice. I know you're a good person going through a hard time. I know you love your sons more than anything. I know you work yourself to death trying to give them a better life. That's enough for me. I don't deserve this. This kindness. Everyone deserves kindness. He paused. Let me help. Please. She thought about Jordan's laugh, about Jaden's sleepy smiles in the morning, about putting them in a shelter or worse, back in her car like she'd done for 2 weeks after she left Marcus. Okay, she breathed. Okay, thank you. Don't thank me yet. We've got work to do. Can you meet me tomorrow? We'll figure out a plan. They talked for another hour. He made her laugh even though everything was falling apart. Made her feel like maybe, just maybe, things might actually be okay. When they finally hung up, Maria looked at the eviction notice again. But this time, she didn't feel quite so alone. David stood in his penthouse, watching the sun rise over Charleston Harbor, and hated himself. He'd just promised to help Maria with money that came from the same company that had priced her out of her son's medicine in the first place. The irony was burning a hole in his chest. His phone rang. Marcus, his head of security, not Maria's ex. He really needed to stop confusing the two. Talk to me, David said. You're not going to like this. Marcus's voice was grim. Marcus Williams, the ex-boyfriend. He's been watching her. We caught him outside her building twice. Outside the diner once. And he was at White Point Garden when you two met there. David's blood ran cold. He's stalking her. Looks like it. And there's more. He filed for custody of the twins last week. Court date is in 10 days. On what grounds? He's got assault charges. All dismissed. No convictions. And he's claiming she's an unfit mother. Says she's neglecting the kids. Can't provide for them. Living in substandard housing. That's bullshit. She's working 2 jobs to take care of them. I know that. You know that. But on paper, single mother, eviction notice, barely making ends meet, a judge might see it his way. Especially if he's cleaned up his act, got a decent lawyer. David's hands clenched into fists. What kind of lawyer? Good one. Expensive one. Someone's backing him. Find out who. Already on it. Marcus paused. Boss, you need to be careful here. You're getting involved in something messy. If the board finds out you're using company resources for personal. I don't care about the board. You should. They're already gunning for you over the pricing reform you keep pushing. You give them ammunition, they'll use it. David walked to his floor-to-ceiling windows. Somewhere out there, Maria was probably still awake, terrified, trying to figure out how to keep her world from collapsing. Keep the security on her, he said. Discreet. And I want to know everything about this custody case. Everything. You got it. And David, be careful. This woman, she doesn't know who you are, what you are. When she finds out, she won't. She will. Eventually. They always do. And when she realizes you've been lying to her this whole time, I'm not lying. I'm just not telling her everything. Marcus laughed, sharp and humorless. Yeah, good luck with that logic. After they hung up, David stood there for a long time, watching the city wake up. He should tell her. Should come clean about everything. The company, the money, the real reason he could help her so easily. But if he did, she'd pull away. He knew she would. She'd see him as another rich guy playing hero, not as someone who genuinely cared. And he did care, more than he'd cared about anyone in years. The board meeting was at 10. He had 4 hours to figure out how to help Maria without revealing who he was. For hours to save her without destroying the fragile trust they'd built. Marion's diner was slammed when David walked in at noon. He'd meant to come earlier, but the board meeting had run long. Another fight about pricing, another battle he was losing. He spotted Maria immediately. She looked exhausted, more exhausted than usual. Dark circles under her eyes, moving slower, smile not quite reaching her face when she laughed at a customer's joke. When she saw him, though, something shifted. Her whole face lit up. That look made him feel like a hero and a liar at the same time. "Hey," she said, coming over. "You didn't have to come by. We could have just met later. I wanted to see you. Truth. And I wanted to talk about the apartment situation." She glanced around. Lou was watching from behind the counter, his usual scowl in place. "I'm off in 20 minutes. Can you wait?" "I'll wait all day if I have to." She smiled, real smile this time, and went back to work. David ordered coffee. He didn't want and watch her navigate the chaos. Watched her handle difficult customers with grace. Watched her work harder than anyone in the room, while probably making less money than it cost him to fill up his car. The system was broken. He'd known it intellectually. But watching Maria live it, that was different. 23 minutes later, she emerged from the back in jeans and a t-shirt, hair down, looking young and tired and beautiful. They walked to his car. He'd been careful to drive something normal today, his Honda SUV instead of the Tesla, and headed toward James Island. "Where are we going?" Maria asked. "To look at a place. I made some calls." "David, just look at it, please. Then you can decide." The apartment complex was nice. Not fancy, but clean. Safe. Good schools nearby. Playground for the twins when they got older. Unit 2B was on the ground floor, easier with the stroller. 2 bedrooms. Clean carpet. Working AC. Kitchen that didn't look like a health hazard. Maria walked through it slowly, touching the walls like she couldn't believe they were real. "How much?" she finally asked. $850 a month. She laughed. Bitter laugh. "David, I can't afford $850 a month. I can barely afford the $625 I was paying before. The first 6 months are covered." She turned to him slowly. "What?" "I paid the first 6 months. Gave you time to get on your feet, maybe pick up some extra shifts, build up savings. That's over $5,000. Her voice was shaking. "David, I can't accept that." "You already did. I signed the lease this morning. It's in your name." He watched her face cycle through shock, anger, confusion, and something else. Something that looked like grief. "Why would you do that?" she whispered. "Why would you just... You don't do this for strangers. People don't do this. You're not a stranger anymore. Then what am I?" The question hung in the air between them. What was she? A friend? Something more? Someone he was falling for way too fast? "You're someone I care about," he said quietly. "Someone who deserves a break. That's all." Maria sank down onto the floor, right there in the middle of the empty living room, and started crying. Big, body-shaking sobs that sounded like they'd been held in for years. David sat down next to her. Didn't try to stop her. Didn't tell her it was okay. Just sat there while she cried out everything. The fear, the exhaustion, the weight of carrying everything alone for so long. When she finally stopped, She looked at him with red, swollen eyes. I don't know how to thank you. You don't have to thank me. I do, though. You're saving my life. You've saved my life twice now. He wanted to tell her the truth then. Wanted to say, I'm not the hero you think I am. I'm part of the problem. My company is why you couldn't afford medicine. My board is why families like yours are drowning. I'm trying to fix it, but I'm failing. Instead, he said, you would have figured it out. You always do. She leaned her head on his shoulder, just rested it there, like she was too tired to hold it up anymore. And David sat there, feeling the weight of her trust, knowing he didn't deserve it, knowing that when she found out the truth, this moment, this perfect, fragile moment, would shatter into a million pieces. The custody papers arrived 3 days later. Maria was moving the twins' crib into the new apartment. David had helped her move everything, had even bought new furniture for the boys' room, wouldn't let her say no when the process server knocked. Maria Torres? Yes. He handed her a manila envelope. You've been served. Her hands shook as she opened it. Petition for custody. Marcus James Williams, petitioner. The word swam on the page. Joint custody. Unsupervised visitation. Claims of neglect. Claims that she was unstable, unable to provide. Living off the charity of strangers. That last part made her stomach turn. How did he know about David? Court date. October 23rd, 9 a.m. 8 days away. Maria sat down on her new couch in her new apartment that she couldn't have afforded without help and realized how bad this looked. A good lawyer. Marcus had a good lawyer. She could tell by the paperwork. Would tear her apart. Would point to the eviction, the 2 jobs, the fact that she couldn't even afford her son's medicine without a stranger paying for it. Would paint her as exactly what Marcus claimed. Unfit. She called David. He answered on the first ring. Maria? What's wrong? He's suing for custody. Her voice was hollow. Marcus. He filed papers. The court date is in 8 days, and I don't have a lawyer, and he's going to take them. He's going to take my babies. He's not taking anything. I promise you. How can you promise that? Look at me, David. Look at my life. I'm exactly what he says I am. I can't provide for them. I'm living in an apartment I can't pay for. I couldn't even afford to keep them healthy without your help. Stop it. His voice was sharp. Stop talking about yourself like that. You're an amazing mother. You work 2 jobs. You sacrifice everything for those boys. Any judge will see that. Not if Marcus has a good lawyer. Then we'll get you a better one. I can't afford. I can. Silence. David, Maria said slowly. How much money do you have? He was quiet for too long. David, how much money do you have? Enough to help. That's all that matters. But it wasn't all that mattered, because suddenly Maria was remembering things. The way he'd paid for the medicine without blinking. The way he covered 6 months' rent like it was nothing. The way he drove a nice car, not flashy, but nice. The way he never talked about his job except to say corporate stuff. What do you do? She asked. Really, what do you actually do? Maria, tell me the truth. Please. She heard him take a breath. Heard him make a decision. I work for a pharmaceutical company. Sinclair Pharmaceuticals. I'm pretty high up there. That's how I can help. That's how I have the resources to. Sinclair Pharmaceuticals. Her voice was flat. The company that charged me $186 for my son's medicine. Yes. The company that's been raising prices so high that people are dying because they can't afford their prescriptions. Yes. But Maria, I'm trying to change that. I'm trying to. How high up? What? How high up in the company are you, David? Another pause. Longer this time. I'm the CO. The words hit her like a physical blow. CO. Not some middle manager. Not some guy with a decent salary. The CO. The person in charge. The person making the decisions that destroyed families like hers. Get out, she whispered. Maria, please. Get out of my apartment that you paid for. Get out of my life that you bought. Get out. I was trying to help. You were trying to fix your guilt. She was yelling now, tears streaming down her face. You watched me choose which twin got medicine because your company priced it so high I couldn't afford both. And you thought you could just, what? Play hero? Make yourself feel better? It's not like that. Then what is it like? Tell me. Explain to me how this is anything other than you using me to feel better about the damage your company does. I care about you. He was yelling too now. I care about you and those boys, and yes, I hate what my company has become, but that's why I'm trying to change it. That's why I'm fighting the board every single day to lower prices, to make medicine accessible, while lying to me, while pretending to be someone you're not. I never lied. You let me believe you were just some guy, some normal guy who happened to have enough money to help. You let me pour my heart out to you about how hard everything is while knowing you're part of the reason it's so hard. David's face was pale. I should have told you. You're right. I should have been honest from the beginning. But I was afraid. Of what? That I wouldn't let you play savior if I knew the truth. That you wouldn't let me know you. That you'd see the company and the money and not see me. Well, congratulations, David. Mission accomplished. I saw you, and now I wish I never had. She walked to the door and opened it, stood there waiting. Maria, please, don't do this. Let me help you with the custody case. Let me? I don't want your help. I don't want your money. I don't want anything from you or your company ever again. You're going to lose that apartment. Then I'll lose it. At least I'll lose it honestly. At least I won't be living on blood money. It's not blood money. Get out, David. Now, or I'm calling the police. He stood there for a long moment, looking at her like she just stabbed him. Then he walked out. Maria closed the door behind him, locked it, and slid down to the floor. The twins were in their room, napping peacefully, unaware that their mother's world had just imploded. 8 days until the custody hearing. No lawyer, no money, and no David. Maria put her head in her hands and tried to figure out how she was going to save her sons. David didn't sleep for 3 days. He sat in his penthouse office with files spread across every surface, legal documents, financial records, private investigator reports on Marcus Williams, looking for something, anything he could use to protect Maria without her knowing, because she'd made it clear she didn't want his help, but he was going to help her anyway. You look like hell, Marcus, his head of security, said, walking in with coffee at 6 a.m. on day 4. I feel like hell. David took the coffee gratefully. Tell me you found something. Marcus dropped the thick folder on the desk. Found who's bankrolling the ex-boyfriend. You're really not going to like this. Just tell me. Richard Chun. David's blood turned to ice. My CFO? Richard is funding Marcus Williams. Not directly. Through a shell company. But, yeah, your CFO is paying for the custody lawyer, paying Marcus's rent, probably paying for a lot more. He's trying to make the ex look stable and successful while making Maria look desperate. Why? What does Richard get out of this? Marcus sat down heavily. Think about it. You've been distracted for weeks, missing meetings, fighting the board on pricing reforms, making decisions they don't like. Richard and 3 other board members want you out. They want someone who'll prioritize profit over people, someone who won't question the price increases. So they're using Maria to destroy me. They're using her to distract you, to make you vulnerable. And when you inevitably help her, which you already did, they'll paint it as misuse of company funds, personal involvement in employee matters, whatever they can spin to get you removed as CEO. David stood up, paced a window. The sun was rising over Charleston Harbor. Beautiful morning. His world was falling apart, but the sun kept rising anyway. She won't let me help her, he said quietly. She hates me now, thinks I was using her. Were you? No. The word came out fierce. I care about her. Really care about her. The company stuff, I would have told her eventually. I just wanted her to know me first. Not the money, not the title. Just me. How'd that work out? David turned to glare at him, not helping Marcus. I'm not here to help your love life. I'm here to tell you that Richard Chin is playing chess and you're playing checkers. He's setting you up, and Maria and her kids are collateral damage. Then we change the game. David grabbed his phone. Get me everything on Richard. Every shady deal, every questionable decision, every time he skirted ethics rules. I want ammunition. Already have it. But David, if you go after him, the whole board will turn on you. You'll be fighting a war on two fronts. I don't care. You should, because if you lose your position as CEO, you lose the power to change anything, including the pricing that hurt Maria in the first place. David stopped. Marcus was right. If he got removed, the board would install someone worse. Someone who'd raise prices even higher. Someone who'd hurt thousands of families just like Maria's. But if he did nothing, Maria would lose her sons. What would you do? David asked. Marcus was quiet for a moment. I'd fight dirty. I'd use every resource I have. And I'd make sure Maria knew the truth. That she's not just fighting her ex. She's fighting people with real power who don't care if they destroy her. She won't listen to me. Then make her listen. Maria couldn't afford a lawyer. She called 7 different firms. The cheap ones couldn't take her case. Too complicated, they said. The good ones wanted retainers she'd never be able to pay. 5,000, 8,000. One wanted 12. She had $340 in her bank account. 6 days until the custody hearing. Mrs. Chin watched the twins while Maria sat in the Charleston County Law Library, reading everything she could find about custody cases. How to represent yourself. What judges looked for. How to prove you were a fit parent. The more she read, the more terrified she became. Marcus had a job now. According to papers, he was working as a sales manager making $75,000 a year. He had a 2-bedroom apartment in a safe neighborhood. He completed an anger management course. Had letters of recommendation from his employer, his pastor, his therapist. On paper, he looked like Father of the Year. On paper, Maria looked like exactly what he claimed, an unstable single mother who couldn't provide for her children without charity from strangers. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. We need to talk. It's about the custody case. I have information you need. Marcus Chun, David's head of security. She should ignore it. Should delete it. Anything connected to David was poisoned now. But her son's faces flashed in her mind. Jordan's giggle. Jaden's sleepy morning smiles. She typed back. What information? Can't text. Too sensitive. Meet me? There's a coffee shop on Broad Street. Paulie's. I'll be there at 2 p.m. today. Maria looked at the time. 1:17 p.m. She shouldn't go. She knew she shouldn't go. She went anyway. Marcus Chin didn't look like a head of security. He looked like somebody's friendly uncle. 50-something, gray hair, warm eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He stood when Maria walked in, gestured to the chair across from him. Thank you for coming, he said. I know you have no reason to trust me. I don't. Maria sat down stiffly. So talk fast. He slid a folder across the table. This is everything we have on Marcus Williams and the people funding him. Maria opened it. Legal documents, financial records, bank transfers. Her hand started shaking as she read. Richard Chun, no relation to me unfortunately, is David's CFO. He's paying for Marcus's lawyer, paying his rent, paying for the whole custody case. Why? Maria's voice was barely a whisper. Because Richard wants David removed as CEO. David's been fighting to lower drug prices, fighting to make medicine affordable. The board doesn't like it. They want someone who will prioritize profit. And David's been distracted lately. Marcus gave her a meaningful look, which makes him vulnerable. If they can paint him as emotionally compromised, making bad business decisions because of personal involvement, they can get him out. So I'm what? A pawn. You and your sons. Yes, I'm sorry. Maria felt sick. And David knew about this? Not until 3 days ago. When you kicked him out, he started digging. Found all of this. He's been trying to figure out how to help you without making things worse. By lying to me for weeks? Marcus leaned back, studied her. He didn't lie. He just didn't tell you everything. There's a difference. Not to me. Fair enough. Marcus took a sip of his coffee. But here's the thing. You can hate David all you want. You can refuse his help. That's your right. But Marcus Williams is not going to stop. Richard Chun is not going to stop. They will take your sons unless you fight back with everything you've got. I don't have anything. You have the truth. You have evidence that Marcus is being funded by people with ulterior motives. You have proof that this custody case isn't about him wanting his kids. It's about powerful people using your family as ammunition in a corporate war. Maria's head was spinning. No judge will believe this. It sounds crazy. It sounds crazy because it is crazy. Marcus pushed another document across the table. But it's also true, and I have a lawyer willing to take your case pro bono. Best family lawyer in South Carolina. She owes me a favor, and she hates Richard Chun. Win-win. Why are you helping me? Because David asked me to, and because I've worked for him for 8 years, and I've never seen him care about someone the way he cares about you. He's a good man in a bad situation, trying to do the right thing. That's rare in my line of work. Maria looked down at the papers, at the evidence of conspiracy and manipulation, at proof that her nightmare was even worse than she'd thought. If I accept this help, she said slowly, I'm accepting David's help. Through you. Yes. And if I win the custody case, I'll owe him. No. Marcus's voice was firm. David doesn't work like that. He doesn't keep score. He just wants you and your boys safe. That's all. Maria thought about David in the pharmacy. The genuine concern in his eyes. The way he'd made her laugh in White Point Garden. The way he'd sat with her while she cried on the floor of the empty apartment. Then she thought about the lies. The omissions. The fact that his company had nearly destroyed her family. I need to think about it, she said. You have until tomorrow morning. That's when the lawyer needs to start prepping your case. After that, it's too late. Marcus stood up, dropped a business card on the table. Call me when you decide. And Maria, whatever you choose, be careful. Richardson plays dirty. If he knows we've talked, he'll come after you harder. He left. Maria sat there alone, surrounded by the evidence of how small she really was. How easily powerful people could use her as a game piece. Her phone buzzed. Text from David. I know Marcus met with you. I know you probably hate me more now. But please listen to him. Please let the lawyer help. Your sons deserve to stay with you. And you deserve to fight back against the people trying to take them. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just asking you to let me do this one thing. Please. Maria stared at the message for a long time. Then she called Mrs. Chun. Can you watch the boys a little longer? I need to make a stop. The Sinclair Pharmaceuticals building was downtown. Glass and steel. 43 stories. The kind of building that screamed money and power. Maria felt small walking through the lobby. Felt like everyone could tell she didn't belong here. The security guard gave her a look when she said she was there to see David Sinclair. Do you have an appointment? No, but tell him Maria Torres is here. He'll see me. The guard looked skeptical, but made the call. His eyebrows went up. Mr. Sinclair says to send you right up. Top floor. The elevator ride took forever. Maria watched the numbers climb, her heart pounding harder with each floor. The doors opened directly into a reception area that was all white marble and expensive art. A woman in a perfect suit smiled at her. "Miss Torres? Right this way." David's office was at the end of a long hallway. The woman knocked once, opened the door, and Maria stepped inside. It was the biggest office she'd ever seen. Windows on 3 sides overlooking the entire city. A desk that probably cost more than her car. But David wasn't sitting at the desk. He was standing by the window, and when he turned around, he looked wrecked. That was the only word for it. Dark circles under his eyes. Shirt wrinkled. Hair messy like he'd been running his hands through it. "Maria," he said her name like a prayer. "You came. I came to tell you something." Her voice was steady, stronger than she felt. "I'm going to take the lawyer. I'm going to use the evidence Marcus gave me. I'm going to fight for my sons with everything I've got. Thank God. But not because I forgive you, and not because we're okay. We're not okay, David. You lied to me. I didn't. You lied by omission. You let me think you were someone safe when you're part of the system that's been crushing people like me. That's a lie. And it hurt." He flinched but didn't argue. "I'm taking the help because my sons matter more than my pride, more than my anger, more than whatever this thing was between us." Her voice cracked on the last word. "But after the custody hearing, we're done. I don't want to see you. I don't want your help. I don't want anything from you." "Okay." The word came out broken. "Okay, whatever you need. I need you to stay away from me. I will. I promise. But Maria," he took a step toward her, stopped when she stepped back. "I need you to know something. What I felt, what I feel for you, that was real. It is real. The money, the company, all of that is just circumstances. But you, the way I feel when I'm with you, that's the realest thing in my life." Tears were streaming down Maria's face now. "It doesn't matter. It can't matter. Because every time I look at you, I'll remember that pharmacy. I'll remember choosing which twin got medicine. I'll remember how your company, almost killed my sons. I know, and I'm going to fix it. I'm going to change everything. I'm going to make sure no parent ever has to make that choice again." "Good." She wiped her eyes. "But do it for the next family. Not for me. We're already broken." She turned to leave. "Maria." She stopped but didn't turn around. "I'm falling in love with you," David said quietly. "I know I don't have the right to tell you that. I know it doesn't change anything. But I needed you to know. I'm falling in love with you, and I'd give up everything, the company, the money, all of it, if it meant I could keep you in my life." Maria's hand was on the door handle. One turn and she'd be gone. Out of his office. Out of his life. She thought about Jordan and Jaden. About the custody hearing in 5 days. About powerful people using her family as chess pieces. About a man who'd paid for medicine without asking for anything back. Who'd held her while she cried. Who'd looked at her like she was extraordinary when the whole world treated her like she was invisible. "Don't give up anything," she said, still not turning around. "Change the company. Lower the prices. Help all the families that come after mine. That's what you should do with your power. Not chase after someone who can't trust you anymore." Then she opened the door and walked out. Left him standing there in his big office overlooking the city, with all his money and power, and no way to fix the one thing that actually mattered. The lawyer's name was Patricia Okonkwo, and she was fierce. "They're playing dirty," she said at their first meeting the next morning. "So we're going to play smart. We're going to prove that Marcus Williams is being manipulated by outside forces, that this custody case is being weaponized. And we're going to prove that you're the best mother those boys could ask for." "How?" Patricia smiled. Sharp smile. Shark smile. "By putting Marcus Williams and Richard Chun on trial instead of you. By the time I'm done, the judge will see exactly what this really is, a corporate hit job disguised as a custody dispute. For the first time in days, Maria felt something like hope. For days until the hearing. For days to save her sons. And somewhere across the city, David Sinclair was preparing for war against his own board of directors. Because if they wanted to use Maria against him, he was going to burn their whole plan to the ground, even if it cost him everything. The courtroom was smaller than Maria expected. She'd imagined something big and dramatic, like in the movies. But this was just a regular room with fluorescent lights and uncomfortable wooden benches. Family Court, Charleston County. Judge Andrea Morrison presiding. Maria sat at the plaintiff's table with Patricia Okonkwo on her left. Across the aisle, Marcus sat with his lawyer, a man in an expensive suit who looked like he ate people like Maria for breakfast. Marcus looked good, too good, clean cut, wearing a nice shirt and tie, looking like a completely different person than the man who put his hands around her throat 2 years ago. He smiled at her. Friendly smile. Harmless smile. Maria's blood ran cold. All rise for the Honorable Judge Andrea Morrison. Everyone stood. The judge entered. A black woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and an expression that said she'd seen every lie in the book. Please be seated. Case number 2024, FC 08847. Williams versus Torres. Petition for joint custody and visitation rights. Counselors, are we ready to proceed? Marcus's lawyer stood. Yes, Your Honor. The petitioner is ready. Patricia stood. The respondent is ready, Your Honor. Very well. Mr. Patterson, you may call your first witness. Marcus's lawyer, Patterson, called Marcus to the stand first. Standard procedure. Let the petitioner tell his story. And Marcus told it well. He talked about how much he loved his sons, how he'd made mistakes. He admitted that freely, but he'd changed, gone to therapy, completed anger management, found a good job, got his life together. I just want to be a father to my boys, he said, and his voice actually cracked with emotion. I know I wasn't ready before, but I am now. I've done the work, and they deserve to have their father in their lives. Maria's hands clenched under the table. Patricia put a hand on her arm. Steady. Calm. Mr. Williams, Patterson continued. Can you describe Ms. Torres's living situation when you last lived together? We had a nice apartment. Nothing fancy, but comfortable. I paid most of the bills. Maria worked part-time at a diner, but I was the primary provider. Lie. She'd worked full-time. He'd spent half his paychecks on beer and gambling. And after the twins were born, I was scared, Marcus said, and he actually looked vulnerable saying it. I was young and scared, and I handled it badly. I started drinking more, started arguing with Maria. I pushed her once. I'm not proud of that, and she took the boys and left. Pushed her once, like it was one mistake, like he hadn't thrown her against a wall, so hard she cracked a rib, like he hadn't told her he'd kill her if she ever tried to leave. Have you had any contact with Miss Torres or the children since she left? I tried. I wanted to apologize, to make things right, but she blocked me on everything. Changed her number. I didn't even know where she was living. He looked at the judge. Your Honor, I'm not trying to take my sons away from their mother. I just want to be part of their lives. I want them to know their father loves them. He was good. Maria had to give him that. He'd practiced this. Sounded sincere. Looked reformed. Patterson asked a few more questions, then sat down. Patricia stood up for cross-examination. Mr. Williams, you mentioned pushing Miss Torres once. Just once. Yes, ma'am. And you regret that? Very much. Patricia pulled out a document. Your Honor, I'd like to enter into evidence hospital records from Charleston Medical Center, dated March 15th, 2023. Ms. Torres was treated for a fractured rib, bruising to the neck and face, and a concussion. She handed copies to the judge and to Patterson. Marcus's face went white. Mr. Williams, does one push typically result in a fractured rib and a concussion? That wasn't. We were both fighting. It got out of hand. Out of hand. Patricia's voice was ice. And The police report from that same night, where Miss Torres told officers you threatened to kill her, she left. I was drunk. I didn't mean. And the restraining order she filed 3 days later? Marcus's lawyer stood. Objection, Your Honor. The restraining order was filed, but allowed to lapse. Miss Torres chose not to renew it. Because she couldn't afford the court fees, Patricia shot back. Not because she felt safe. Your Honor, I have documentation of 4 separate instances where Mr. Williams attempted to contact Miss Torres after she left, including one message sent just 2 weeks ago where he called her, and I quote, a worthless piece of trash who stole his children. Patricia pulled up the message on her tablet, showed it to the judge. Judge Morrison's expression hardened. Mr. Williams, is this your message? Marcus squirmed. I was upset. She was keeping my kids from me. By protecting them from an abuser, Patricia said, Your Honor, this man has not changed. He's learned to present well, but the pattern is the same: manipulation, control, threats. Your Honor, Patterson interjected, my client has completed court-ordered anger management. He's been in therapy for 18 months. He has a stable job and housing. He's done everything required to prove he's changed. Everything except actually change, Patricia muttered. Judge Morrison looked at Marcus for a long moment. Step down, Mr. Williams. I'll hear from Ms. Torres now. Maria's legs felt like water as she walked to the witness stand. She put her hand on the Bible, swore to tell the truth, sat down. Try not to look at Marcus. Patricia asked her to tell her story. So she did. Told the truth about the relationship, about the escalating violence, about running in the middle of the night with 2 newborns and nowhere to go, about living in her car for 2 weeks, about working 2 jobs to survive, about choosing which twin got medicine in a pharmacy line. Her voice broke on that part. She couldn't help it. Ms. Torres, Patricia said gently, can you tell the court about your current living situation? I have a 2-bedroom apartment on James Island. Ground floor, safe neighborhood. The boys each have their own crib. I work at Marion's Diner during the day and clean offices at night. Mrs. Chun, my neighbor, watches the boys when I'm working. And are you able to provide for your sons? Maria hesitated. This was a dangerous part. I struggle sometimes, but I always make sure they have what they need. Food, diapers, medicine. They're healthy and happy and loved. Patterson stood for cross-examination. This was what Maria had been dreading. Ms. Torres, you mentioned working 2 jobs. How many hours per week? About 60 hours. And your sons are how old? 8 months. So you're working 60 hours a week with 8-month-old twins. Who's raising your children, Ms. Torres? Because it doesn't sound like you're there much. Patricia stood. Objection. Argumentative. Sustained. Mr. Patterson, ask questions, don't make speeches. Patterson smiled. How much do you make in a week, Ms. Torres? About $400. Sometimes less if the diner is slow. $400 a week. And your rent, $850 a month. So your rent is more than twice your weekly income. How do you afford that? Here it comes. Someone helped me. Paid the first 6 months. Someone helped you? A friend? Yes. A boyfriend? No. Just someone who wanted to help. Must be a very generous friend. Did this friend also help with other expenses? Maria's jaw clenched. Yes. Medicine for your sons? Yes. Furniture for the apartment? Yes. So you're living in an apartment you can't afford, with furniture you didn't buy, surviving on charity from a stranger. Is that correct? He's not a stranger. But he was when he started giving you money, correct? You met him. Patterson checked his notes approximately 3 weeks ago in a pharmacy, and he's been financially supporting you ever since. Maria felt trapped. Every word made her sound exactly like Marcus claimed. Desperate, dependent, unable to provide. He was helping me because I needed help. There's nothing wrong with accepting help. There's nothing wrong with accepting help, Patterson agreed. But there is something concerning about a single mother who can't support her children without handouts from men she barely knows. It raises questions about stability, about judgment. Objection! Patricia was on her feet. Counsel is badgering the witness. Sustained. Move on, Mr. Patterson. But the damage was done. Maria could see it on the judge's face. Questions. Concern. Patterson sat down, looking satisfied. Patricia did redirect. Try to repair the damage. Ask Maria about her sons, their routines, their favorite foods, their little personalities. Let Maria talk about how much she loved them, how every decision she made was for them. But Maria could feel the case slipping away. When she stepped down from the witness stand, she felt like she'd failed, like she'd proven Marcus right. She couldn't do this alone. Your Honor, Patricia said, I'd like to call a witness. David Sinclair. Maria's head snapped up. What? The courtroom doors opened. David walked in wearing a suit that probably cost more than Maria made in 6 months. He looked tired but determined, walked to the witness, stand without looking at her. Mr. Sinclair, Patricia began after he was sworn in. Can you tell the court your relationship to Ms. Torres? I'm a friend. We met 3 weeks ago. I've been helping her financially. And why would you do that? Because she needed help and I was able to provide it. That's what decent people do. Patterson stood. Objection. Is this witness here to testify or to lecture us on decency? I'll allow it, Judge Morrison said. But Mr. Sinclair, please just answer questions. Patricia continued. What do you do for a living, Mr. Sinclair? I'm the CEO of Sinclair Pharmaceuticals. A murmur went through the courtroom. Even the judge looked surprised. And you're aware that your company charged Ms. Torres $186 for medicine her sons desperately needed? Yes, I'm aware. It's one of many pricing problems I'm currently trying to fix. Your Honor, Patricia said, pulling out another document. I'd like to enter into evidence this document showing that David Sinclair has been fighting his own board of directors for 6 months to lower prescription drug prices. He's facing potential removal as CEO because of it. She handed the document to the judge. Mr. Sinclair, Patricia continued, can you tell the court about Richard Chun? David's jaw tightened. Richard Chun is my CFO. He's also the person funding Marcus Williams' custody case. The courtroom exploded. Patterson was on his feet. Objection. That's a baseless accusation. It's documented fact, Patricia said calmly. She pulled out the folder Marcus Chun had given Maria. Bank records showing transfers from a shell company owned by Richard Chun to Marcus Williams. Payment for this lawyer. She pointed at Patterson. Payment for Mr. Williams' apartment, his car, his entire new life. All funded by someone with a vested interest in destroying Mr. Sinclair's credibility. Judge Morrison held up a hand. Approached the bench. All of you. The lawyers and David went up to the judge. Maria couldn't hear what they were saying, but the judge looked furious. Patterson looked panicked. Marcus looked like he wanted to run. They talked for 5 minutes. Then Patricia came back to the table. What's happening? Maria whispered. We're winning. Judge Morrison banged her gavel. This court will take a 30-minute recess. Mr. Patterson, I suggest you speak with your client about the source of his funding. We'll reconvene to discuss this new evidence. Everyone stood as the judge left. Maria grabbed Patricia's arm. What just happened? What happened is we just proved this custody case is a fraud. That Marcus is being used as a weapon in a corporate power play. The judge is furious. Patterson's probably about to drop Marcus as a client. And you? Patricia smiled. You're about to keep your sons. Maria turned to look at David. He was standing alone by the witness stand, tie loosened, looking exhausted. Their eyes met across the courtroom. He'd just exposed himself, put his entire career on the line. giving the board exactly what they needed to remove him as CEO. For her. He'd done it all for her. The 30-minute recess turned into an hour. Maria waited in the hallway with Patricia, while David talked to his lawyers in one conference room, and Marcus talked to Patterson in another. Mrs. Chun had brought the twins. Maria held them both, breathing in their baby smell, trying to keep it together. "Mama," Jordan babbled, grabbing her face. "I know, baby. I know. Almost done." When they were finally called back, Marcus looked destroyed. His lawyer looked resigned. Judge Morrison addressed the courtroom. "After reviewing the evidence presented by Ms. Okonkwo, I have serious concerns about the legitimacy of this custody petition. Mr. Williams, your funding source calls into question your motivations. The fact that you're being supported by someone with a vendetta against Mr. Sinclair suggests this case is about manipulation, not about your son's well-being." "Your Honor," Marcus started. "I'm not finished." Judge Morrison's voice was sharp. "Furthermore, the evidence of past abuse, combined with recent threatening messages to Ms. Torres, indicates you are not the reformed man you claim to be. I am denying your petition for joint custody. I am also issuing a new restraining order. Mr. Williams, you are not to contact Ms. Torres or her sons for a minimum of 1 year. Any violation will result in immediate arrest." Marcus's face went red. "This is bullshit. She's keeping my kids from me." "Mr. Williams, another outburst and I'll hold you in contempt. Your behavior right now is exactly why I'm making this ruling." Marcus stood up, knocking his chair over. "You're all corrupt. This is a setup. She's—" "Bailiff, remove Mr. Williams from my courtroom." 2 bailiffs grabbed Marcus. He fought them, yelling, making threats. Maria held the twins tighter, turned their faces away so they couldn't see. David moved without thinking, stepped between Marcus and Maria, putting himself in the line of fire. "You did this." Marcus screamed at David. "You and your money. You think you can buy anything." "I can buy justice when the system fails," David said quietly. "And I can buy protection for people who need it. So, yeah, I did this. And I'd do it again." The bailiffs dragged Marcus out. His screams echoed down the hallway until the doors closed. "Silence." Judge Morrison sighed. "Ms. Torres, I apologize that you had to witness that, especially with your children present. The restraining order is now in effect. If Mr. Williams contacts you or comes near you, call the police immediately." "Thank you, Your Honor," Maria whispered. "Court is adjourned." Everyone stood as the judge left. Maria stood there in the empty courtroom, holding her sons, trying to process that it was over. She'd won. Her babies were safe. Patricia hugged her. "Congratulations. You're an amazing mother, and those boys are lucky to have you." Then Patricia left, giving Maria and David space. They stood there, 10 feet apart, an entire courtroom between them. "Thank you," Maria finally said, "for testifying, for exposing Richard, for everything. You don't have to thank me." "I do, though. You just destroyed your career for me." David smiled sadly. "My career will recover. Or it won't. Either way, you and the boys are safe. That's what matters." Jordan reached toward David, making grabby hands. Duh. Maria's eyes filled with tears. "He doesn't know. He just calls everyone that." "I know." But David's voice was thick with emotion. "You should go," Maria said. "You probably have board meetings. Damage control. Things, too." "Maria." "What?" "Can I say something? And then I'll go and I won't bother you again. I promise." She nodded. "I love you." The words came out simple. "True. I love you and I love those boys, and I don't expect you to say it back or forgive me or anything. I just needed you to know. Because today, watching you fight for your sons, watching you be strong even when you were terrified, it just confirmed what I already knew. You're the most extraordinary person I've ever met. And I'm sorry I wasn't honest with you from the beginning. I'm sorry my company hurt your family. I'm sorry for all of it. But I'm not sorry I met you. I'll never be sorry for that. Jaden reached for him too now, both twins wanting him. Maria's heart was breaking and healing at the same time. I need time, she whispered. I need to figure out who I am without crisis, without just surviving. I need to learn how to live instead of just exist. I understand. But David, she looked at him fully, really looked at him, saw the man who'd paid for medicine without thinking twice, who'd fought his own company to make things right, who'd risked everything to keep her son safe. Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible, for helping when you didn't have to, for being kind when the world wasn't. You were never invisible to me. They stood there for one more moment. Then David turned and walked away. Maria watched him go, holding her sons close. She'd won her boys, but she'd lost something too. Maybe not forever. Maybe just for now. Time would tell. 3 weeks after the trial, Maria got a job offer. Not from Marion's. Not from another cleaning company. From Charleston Children's Hospital. Administrative assistant in the pediatric wing. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Benefits. Paid time off. Salary that was almost double what she'd been making at both jobs combined. She stared at the email, reading it 3 times to make sure it was real. Then she saw the name at the bottom. Patricia Okonkwo, board member, Charleston Children's Hospital Foundation. Maria called her immediately. Before you say anything, Patricia said, this is legitimate. We had an opening. I recommended you. You interviewed. Remember that informational meeting we had last week? That was your interview. And you got the job because you're qualified and capable, not because of charity. Patricia, the director loved you, said you were exactly what they needed. Someone organized, compassionate, good with families going through hard times. That's you, Maria. This is your job. You earned it. Maria sat down on her couch, the couch David had bought, and cried. Good crying this time. Relief crying. For the first time in years, she could breathe. One job, regular hours. Home with her boys at night. Insurance that would actually cover their medicine. A life that wasn't just survival. She started the following Monday. David's board meeting was going exactly as badly as he'd expected. You exposed confidential company business in open court, Richardson said, his voice dripping with fake concern. You used company resources for personal matters. You've made Sinclair Pharmaceuticals look like the villain in a custody dispute. The press is having a field day. The press is reporting the truth. David shot back that we've been price gouging patients for years. That families are choosing between medicine and food because of our policies. I'm not apologizing for exposing that. You should be apologizing to the shareholders. Another board member, Margaret Walsh, added, our stock dropped 3 points after your testimony went public. And it'll drop further when I announce the new pricing structure next week. The room went silent. What new pricing structure? Richard's voice was dangerous. David stood up, pulled out a document. Effective immediately, we're reducing prices on all essential medications by an average of 40%. We're also creating a patient assistance program for families who can't afford even to reduce prices. No one, and I mean no one, will ever again have to choose which child gets medicine. You can't do that without board approval, Richard said. Actually, I can. My father left me controlling interest. I have final say on pricing. You can vote me out as CEO if you want, but these changes are happening either way. Margaret leaned forward. David, be reasonable. This will cost the company hundreds of millions in revenue and save thousands of lives. I call that a fair trade. The shareholders will crucify us. Then let them. I'd rather run a company that does the right thing than one that just makes money. He looked around the table. My father built this company to help people. Somewhere along the way, we forgot that. I'm just bringing us back to what we were supposed to be. Richard stood up. Then you leave me no choice. I'm calling for a vote of no confidence. All those in favor of removing David Sinclair as CEO. 3 hands went up. Richard, Margaret, and Tom Porter. Those opposed. For hands. David had more support than Richard expected. Motion fails. David said calmly, "Now, get out of my boardroom. You're fired, Richard. Security will escort you out." Richard's face went purple. "You can't." "I can, and I am. You use company resources to fund a custody case designed to destroy me. You put a woman and her children in danger for corporate politics. You're done." 2 security guards, Marcus Chun had been waiting outside, entered the room. "Mr. Chun, please escort Mr. Richard Chun from the building. He's no longer employed here." Richard looked around the table for support. Found none. Even his allies wouldn't defend what he'd done to Maria. "This isn't over," Richard hissed as the guards took his arms. "Yeah, it is," David said. "Goodbye, Richard." After they left, David sat down heavily. His hands were shaking. He'd just made enemies of half the pharmaceutical industry. Shareholders would be furious. Competitors would see him as weak. But somewhere in Charleston, families wouldn't have to choose between medicine and food. That was worth it. Everything was worth it. Maria saw the news 3 days later. She was at work, her new work, which still felt surreal, when a co-worker showed her the article on her phone. Sinclair Pharmaceuticals slashes drug prices. CEO defies board. There was a picture of David at a press conference, looking tired but determined. "My father used to say that profit without purpose is just greed." David was quoted. "Sinclair Pharmaceuticals will no longer prioritize shareholder value over human life. We're cutting prices on essential medications by 40% effective immediately. And if that costs me my job, then it cost me my job. Some things matter more than money." The article went on to detail the changes. The patient assistance program. The promise that no family will be denied life-saving medicine because of cost. It mentioned the custody trial. Mentioned Maria not by name, but as the woman whose story inspired the CEO's dramatic change of heart. "Is that your David?" her co-worker asked. "The guy from the trial?" "He's not my David," Maria said automatically, but her heart was pounding. He'd actually done it. Changed everything. Risked everything. For her. For families like hers. She looked at the picture again. Really looked at it. Saw the exhaustion in his eyes. The weight he was carrying. Saw a man who'd chosen principle over profit. Saw the man she'd fallen for in that pharmacy line. The man she was still in love with, even though she tried so hard not to be. Mrs. Chin watched the twins that Saturday afternoon, while Maria did something she'd been putting off for 3 weeks. She drove to David's building downtown, the fancy one with the doorman and the marble lobby that had intimidated her before. This time, she walked in like she belonged. "I'm here to see David Sinclair," she told the doorman. "Is he expecting you?" "No, but tell him Maria Torres is here. Please." The doorman made a call. His eyebrows went up. "He says to send you right up. Penthouse level." The elevator ride felt longer this time. Maria watched the numbers climb, her heart climbing with them. The doors opened directly into a hallway with only one door. Before she could knock, it opened. David stood there in jeans and a t-shirt, barefoot, hair messy like he'd been sleeping. He looked surprised, hopeful, scared. "Maria, hi. Is everything okay?" "The boys. They're fine. Everyone's fine. She took a breath. "Can I come in?" "Of course. Yeah, sorry." He stepped back, led her into his penthouse. It was beautiful. Huge windows overlooking the harbor. Expensive furniture that somehow still looked comfortable. But there were also takeout containers on the coffee table and files scattered everywhere, like he'd been working all night. "Sorry for the mess," he said, moving papers. It's been a crazy few weeks. I saw the news about the pricing changes. Yeah. He ran a hand through his hair. The shareholders are furious. Lost about 200 million in market value so far. But the patient assistance applications are coming in by the thousands. So, worth it. You really did it. You changed everything. I'm trying. Still a long way to go. But yeah, I'm trying. They stood there awkwardly. All this space between them that used to feel comfortable. Why are you here, Maria? David asked quietly. Not that I'm not happy to see you. I am. But I've been thinking, she interrupted, about what you said in the courtroom, about loving me. Maria, you don't have to. Let me finish. Please. She took a step closer. I've been thinking about how you paid for medicine without asking for anything back. How you found me an apartment when I was being evicted. How you testified in court even though it could destroy your career. How you changed your entire company's pricing structure because you couldn't stand the thought of other families going through what mine did. I should have. I'm still talking. She smiled slightly. You lied to me, or you didn't tell me the whole truth, which is almost the same thing. And that hurt. It really hurt, because I trusted you and trust is hard for me. David nodded, staying quiet. But I've been doing what you said, taking time to figure out who I am without crisis. And you know what I figured out? Her voice cracked. I'm someone who falls in love with men who pay for strangers' medicine, who stand up to their own companies to do what's right, who risk everything to protect people they care about. David's eyes were bright with tears. Maria, I love you. The words came out in a rush. I love you, and I'm terrified because loving someone means trusting them not to hurt you, and I'm so bad at trust. But you've never asked me to be anything other than who I am. You've never tried to fix me or save me. You just try to help me save myself. And that's everything. I love you, too, David whispered. So much. I love you and those boys and I want. He stopped. What do you want, Maria? Tell me what you want, and I'll do it. I'll give you space if you need it. I'll be your friend if that's all you can handle. Just tell me. Maria closed the distance between them, put her hand on his chest, felt his heart pounding under her palm. I want to try, she said. I want to try being with you. For real. Not as someone you're helping or saving or protecting. As equals. As partners. Can we do that? Yes. He covered her hand with his. Yes, whatever you need, however you need it. I need honesty. Always, even when it's hard. I promise. I need you to understand that I'm still healing. That some days I'm going to be scared of things that don't make sense. That Marcus being gone doesn't mean all the damage disappears. I know. I'm here for all of it. And I need you to know that I don't want your money. I have a job now, a real job with benefits and everything. I can pay my own rent. I can take care of my sons. I don't need you to save me financially. I know that. I've always known that. Then what do you need from me? David pulled her closer, rested his forehead against hers. Just you, just this, just the chance to love you and be loved by you. That's all I've ever wanted. Maria kissed him. Soft at first, tentative, like she was testing to see if this was real. It was real. He kissed her back like she was air and he'd been drowning, like she was home and he'd been lost. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were crying. The boys, Maria said. They're with Mrs. Chun. I should bring them here. David's voice was urgent. Please, I want to be part of this. Part of your lives. If you'll let me. You want to meet them? Officially? I want everything. But we'll go at your pace. Whatever feels right. Maria pulled out her phone, texted Mrs. Chun. 20 minutes later, there was a knock on the door. Mrs. Chun stood there with both twins and a stroller, grinning like she'd won the lottery. I had a feeling. Good for you. Honey, good for you. She handed over the stroller and left with a wink. David stared at the twins. Jordan was chewing on his fist. Jaden was looking around with wide eyes, taking in the new space. "Hey, guys," David said softly. "Remember me?" Jordan reached out immediately. David looked at Maria, asking permission. She nodded. He picked up Jordan carefully, like the baby was made of glass. Jordan immediately grabbed David's face, laughing. "He likes you," Maria said. "I like him too." David's voice was thick. Both of them. So much. Jaden started fussing, not wanting to be left out. Maria picked him up, and suddenly they were standing there, the four of them, in David's penthouse overlooking Charleston. A family. Sort of. Almost. Beginning to be. "This is crazy," Maria said. 2 months ago, I was choosing which twin got medicine. Now I'm standing in a billionaire's penthouse, letting him hold my son. Life moves fast. Are you sure about this? About us? It's a lot. 2 babies, an ex with a restraining order, a girlfriend with trust issues and trauma. Maria, David shifted Jordan to one arm, used his free hand to cup her face. "I'm sure. I've never been more sure of anything. Even though I'm complicated. Especially because you're complicated. Complicated means real. Complicated means you've lived and survived and come out stronger. I don't want simple. I want you." Jaden reached over and grabbed David's shirt. Both twins were trying to claim him now, and Maria laughed, real laugh, from her belly, the kind she hadn't laughed in years. "Okay," she said. "Okay, let's try this. Let's be a family." Yeah. 6 months later, Maria stood in the pharmacy on King Street, the same pharmacy where this whole thing started, picking up the twins' vitamins. The total came to $8.47. She handed over her insurance card, the good insurance from her job, and her credit card, which actually had money on it now. As she waited for the transaction to process, she looked around, saw a young mother with a baby, talking quietly to the pharmacist, looking stressed. Maria couldn't hear the conversation, but she recognized the body language, the fear, the desperation. She walked over. "Excuse me. I don't mean to intrude, but is everything okay?" The young mother looked up, eyes red from crying. "The medicine for my daughter. It's too expensive. I don't know what to do." Maria smiled. "What pharmacy company is it?" Sinclair Pharmaceuticals." "Perfect. They have a patient assistance program. Here." Maria pulled out her phone, showed her the website. "You fill out this form. Takes 10 minutes. They'll cover whatever your insurance doesn't. My sons used it before I got good insurance. It saved our lives." The mother's face transformed. "Really? They'll help?" "They will. I promise." "Thank you. Thank you so much." Maria paid for her vitamins and walked out to her car. David was waiting in the passenger seat. They'd come together. "We're heading to a park afterward with the boys." "Everything okay?" he asked. "Everything's perfect. Just help someone with the assistance program." He smiled, leaned over to kiss her. "That's my girl. Changing the world one pharmacy visit at a time." "Our world," she corrected. "We're changing it together." They drove to White Point Garden, the same park where they'd had their first real conversation. The twins were walking now, wobbling around on chubby legs, laughing at everything. David chased Jordan around while Maria helped Jaden climb on the playground equipment. Mama, look." Jordan called, pointing at a bird. "I see it, baby. That's a pelican." David came up beside her, put his arm around her waist. "You know what today is?" "Saturday. It's been exactly 1 year since I met you in that pharmacy." Maria turned to look at him. 1 year. In 12 months. Her entire life had transformed. She had a career she loved, an apartment she could afford, 2 healthy, happy sons, and a man who loved all of them like they'd always been his. "Best day of my life." David said, "The day I watched you choose between your sons and decided I had to know you, Best day of mine, too, Maria said, even though I didn't know it then. Do you know it now? I know I love you. I know I trust you. I know I can't imagine my life without you in it. David pulled a small box out of his pocket. Maria's heart stopped. I know it's only been a year, he said, and we can wait as long as you need. But Maria, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to adopt the twins officially, if you'll let me. I want to build a family with you. Will you marry me? The ring was beautiful, simple, just like she'd want. But it wasn't the ring that made her cry. It was the look in his eyes, the certainty, the love. Yes, she whispered. Yes, yes, yes. He slipped the ring on her finger, kissed her while their sons played around them, oblivious of the fact that their family had just become official. When they finally pulled apart, Jaden and Jordan came running over. Up, up, they both demanded. David picked up Jaden. Maria picked up Jordan. They stood there as a family, complete, whole, home. I was so scared a year ago, Maria said quietly. So broken. I thought I'd never be anything but scared again. And now I'm happy. Really, genuinely happy. You gave me that. No. David shook his head. You gave that to yourself. You fought for it. You earned it. I just got lucky enough to be here to see it. Maria looked at her sons, at her fiancé, at the life they'd built from nothing. She'd been invisible once, drowning, choosing between impossible choices. Now she was seen, loved, whole, and it had all started in a pharmacy line, with a stranger who'd paid for medicine and changed everything. Thank you, she whispered to David. For what? For seeing me when no one else did. For staying. For loving all of us. That's easy, David said, kissing her forehead. You're the most extraordinary person I've ever met. Loving you isn't hard. It's the easiest thing I've ever done. The sun set over Charleston Harbor, painting everything gold. And Maria Torres, soon to be Maria Sinclair, stood with her family and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. Hope. Home. 2 years later, David and Maria opened the Torres Sinclair Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to helping single parents afford essential medications and housing. The foundation helped over 10,000 families in its first year. Marcus Williams violated his restraining order once. He served 6 months in jail and hasn't attempted contact since. Jordan and Jaden Sinclair, legally adopted by David when they were 2 years old, grew up healthy, happy, and loved. They never remembered a time when David wasn't their father. Sinclair pharmaceutical stock eventually recovered after the pricing changes. Turns out, doing the right thing is good for business after all. And Maria? Maria never forgot what it felt like to stand in that pharmacy line, making an impossible choice. She spent the rest of her life making sure no other mother ever had to make that choice again. Sometimes the best love stories start in the worst moments. Sometimes the person who saves you is the one you end up saving right back. And sometimes life gives you a second chance when you least expect it. This was one of those times.